As the summer's coming to a close, I wanted to talk about one of the more interesting releases from summer 2025, and that is Summer Mink by Better World Fragrance House, associated with Aubrey Drake Graham, better known as pop superstar icon Drake. When I first found out this fragrance was being released and Drake's association with this fragrance, I thought one of two things were gonna happen. One, I thought this would either be just another celebrity ploy to kind of extort the fragrance community, use your name, image, and likeness to associate yourself with just a cheap product and profit. Or I thought this was actually gonna be a good release that people would unnecessarily hate on just due to Drake's association with the fragrance. So which one is it? We're talking about Summer Mink. I don't want to shy away from the fact that I am a huge fan of Drake's music. I've been listening to Drake's music for about 15 years now, which is insane. I think this is his best, but let me know down in the comments what's your favorite Drake album if you're into it. I'm a huge music guy, but we're talking fragrances today. Now, when it comes to celebrities associating their name with fragrances, I think we've seen this movie a couple times before. We haven't seen it happen that much on the men's fragrance side of things, but we do see it all the time on the women's side. My girlfriend's got a handful of the Ariana Grande perfumes, and she thinks they smell good, but ultimately, like, for what you're paying for it, you can just find so many better options with better quality ingredients and better performance. I mean, I think that's your number one complaint is like, this stuff smells good, but it just doesn't last. So I think it's really easy to assume that when a celebrity from a different niche comes over to the fragrance community, I think it's fair and valid to kind of have your guard up and assume that there's maybe an element of like cash grab associated with this. It just reminds me of the infamous Kanye interview. I like some of the Gaga songs, but what the does she know about cameras? You're just getting musicians that are coming over here and attaching their name, image, and likeness to a cheap product in order to, grab money and just kind of do like a whole marketing thing. When it's really like, what does this person know or care about fragrances? Maybe they wear it, but like, is this really just, a cash grab because the margins are so high when it comes to designer perfumes? Or is this like really a passion, something that they actually care about making a good, genuine, high quality product? Like, I think most of the time it's fair to assume that it's the former and not the latter. So I think it was understandable when a lot of people rolled their eyes when news came out, oh, Drake is dropping a fragrance. This is the first fragrance released by Better World Fragrance House, which Drake has been associated with for a while now. I believe they had released only candles up until this point, but this is the first fragrance released from the house. I only have the 10 ml bottle because, like I said, I wasn't sure which direction this fragrance was really gonna go in terms of like overhyped or underrated. So I guess the real test is, am I gonna buy a full-size bottle or is this just gonna be a one and done? First of all though, the atomizer is beautiful. Let's talk about the scent profile and the performance of this fragrance, and then I'll give you my opinion on it, some pros and cons, and try to give you a more balanced approach to critiquing this fragrance. If I had to describe the scent profile of this fragrance in one word, it would be creamy. In a lot of ways, it very much smells like the same smell you get after using like a thick, rich vanilla hand lotion. And vanilla is not actually a note listed in this fragrance, but it is kind of the first impression I get. The creaminess is accented with just a beautiful, inoffensive floral and citrus touch to it. And as the fragrance dries down, the florals and the citrus start to kind of emerge and make themselves more prevalent. There's nothing in the scent profile to me that is challenging or offensive in any way possible. Now, when I smell this fragrance initially, like when I tested it just on a paper strip, I kind of thought that the scent profile was a little bit more feminine, but as I've worn this fragrance on skin, I've kind of come around to the opinion that this is more of like a unisex scent profile, but I think this is better suited for men, particularly men who are trying to attract women with the scent of their fragrance. It's a unisex fragrance, meaning I think it can be worn and liked by any gender, but I do think the purpose of this fragrance is for the fellas to put on a fragrance that their girl is gonna like. And I think it's just funny because in so many different ways, this is very similar to Drake's music and Drake's brand. Drake makes a lot of music for the ladies. And I feel like this fragrance is made for the ladies, but it's to be worn by the guys, to be experienced and liked by the ladies, if that makes sense. But I don't think there's anything like strikingly masculine or strikingly feminine about this scent profile. I think either gender could have no problem wearing and enjoying this fragrance. It's a very well blended and unoffensive fragrance. Like, I would have a hard time finding somebody who would think this smells bad or challenging or really dislikes it. That being said, the mass appealing nature of it may kind of strip it of its chance to have like a really striking character to it. But like I said, when you think about Drake's brand and the products that Drake makes, it's made for everybody. Like, I don't know if you were really expecting like just a really extremely challenging niche fragrance, like especially Drake attaching his name to it and doing the marketing for it. You know, like in what world would that make sense for him to do as an artist, and what, you know, that's just not what a designer fragrance house is really supposed to be anyways. So it's really no surprise to me here that this leans unisex and can be enjoyed across the board. Obviously here's Summer Mink, and I think I was really expecting this to be a very citrus fresh fragrance, and there definitely are elements of citrus and freshness to it, but I was not expecting this to go in this kind of creamy type of route. And so it has this mass appealing nature to it because the scent profile is completely inoffensive, but it's also doing something different than so many other generic blue, citrus, fresh fragrances. So now let's talk about the performance of this fragrance. Now, as far as projection goes, it's not like a beast projector in my opinion. I would say projection is moderate to good, but also when you think about kind of the note breakdown and the style of this fragrance, it wouldn't make sense as like a belter. The fragrance has a very soft and intimate kind of nature to it. And when I first sprayed it on my skin, I definitely imagined, yeah, this isn't gonna last. This is gonna be a skin scent by hour 2 or 3. It's gonna be completely gone by hour 4 or 5, and that's gonna be it. And so after I sprayed it, because the scent profile was a little generic and I was kind of anticipating the performance to not be so great, I was ready to write this fragrance off. But then as I wore it on skin, I noticed like the fragrance, it hangs around. I get 6 to 7 good working hours from this fragrance. It's definitely most prominent in hours 1 and 2. But you absolutely can still pick it up and get hints of it all the way into hours 6 and 7, which honestly, for being what it is, it's fantastic. Overall, my experience with Summer Mink is, funny enough, very similar to my experience with so many of Drake's albums. You have your initial impression of what it's gonna be, and then it gets here and you smell it for the first time, or you listen to the album for the first time, and you go, oh, okay, well. And I think just because of Drake's status, we kind of inflate our expectations and expect to just truly be just mesmerized by what we get. And then you get something you realize like, oh, like, this wasn't made for me, this was made for everybody. And as time passes and as you familiarize yourself with it, you understand it. You understand why it works, why the music is as popular as it is, and why I think so many people are going to come out and say that they really love this fragrance. And as far as reading online reviews for this fragrance, I think we saw the exact same thing. A lot of people got Summer Mink in expecting it to like blow their minds and wow them, and a lot of them were disappointed because, to be fair, it's a very generic and mass appealing scent. So I think that really disappointed a lot of people looking for their first impression to like blow their minds. But now as summer's coming to a close and more fragrance enthusiasts are spending more time with this fragrance, I think the appeal is really starting to grow. I remember when Louis Vuitton dropped Meteor and so many people came out and said, what the hell is this? This is just generic garbage. This smells like so many other fragrances. This isn't doing anything new. This isn't anything exciting. This isn't innovative. This is redundant. And it only took about 5 to 6 months for people to start coming out and saying that that is the best Louis Vuitton fragrance that exists. So in a lot of ways, I think you kind of have to just let that initial wave of like hype and whatnot kind of pass before you can really give something an objective look when it comes to looking at online reviews. And so yeah, I'm not gonna lie, my first impression of this fragrance was kind of like, meh. But now that I've worn it a few times, I find myself continuing to reach for it again and again. And I would also even argue that while this is mass appealing, it is inoffensive, and it is a safe fragrance, it in fact is very different than a lot of other generic summer freshies in the market. Like, it is doing something very different. I've not smelled a fragrance that kind of has this rich, creamy type of nature to it. Normally the creamy fragrances lean a little bit more woody. What comes to mind for me is Creed's original Santal, but that definitely has that sandalwood woody twist to it, where this is more floral and citrusy, kind of in a similar way to YSL Myself. I know YSL Myself is one of the most loved fragrances ever. People say that it's their favorite YSL fragrance. I actually think this is better, and ultimately this is my personal opinion that I'm just giving you, but YSL Myself has that patchouli designer kind of skunkness to it, in my opinion, that this fragrance totally does not have. This to me isn't challenging even in the slightest. YSL Myself, while it is kind of marketed as this mass appealing floral citrusy fragrance, I don't know, bro, that the patchouli just doesn't sit right for me. I don't know. So if you're like me and kind of had the same experience when it came to YSL Myself, where you're like, I wanna like it so badly, I feel like I'm almost there, but there's just something that's not clicking for me, I would actually really suggest giving Summer Mink by Better World Fragrance House a try. I also think this would be a great layering fragrance if you wanted to layer this with something that you have that's also like on the fresh citrus side and layer it into this. I think that would work great. So those are my thoughts on Summer Mink by Better World Fragrance House. Let me know down below in the comments, have you tried this fragrance? What do you think about this fragrance? What's your favorite Drake album of all time? I'm still going with this one. So thanks so much for tuning into Frag Yap. I'm Will Hinson, your host. Let me know what you think about this fragrance and more down in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Hope to see you in the next video, guys. Have a good one.